There is at least one piece of external evidence that David was a king and that he established a royal dynasty in Israel. Finkelstein and Silberman know this, of course, which is why they say there is not much evidence of David's existence. In 1993, archaeologists in the northern part of Israel discovered fragments of an ancient stele, a stone slab on which an inscription was written, at a site called Tel Dan. The inscription on the slab was made by a king of the 9th century BC, Hazael, who had a major kingdom in what was later called Syria. On the inscription, Hazael boasts of having defeated in battle 2 kings, Omri, the ruler of the northern kingdom of Israel, and an unnamed king of Judea of the house of David. What this means is that there was a king named David who started a monarchic dynasty in Judea sometime before the 9th century. That, of course, is exactly what the Bible says. The Dan are a tribe found in Ireland, otherwise known as Tuatha De Danann, which just means houses of Dan. If a stele was found at Tel Dan in Israel, then is this where the Tuatha may have come from? At the time of writing this, I am wanting to find out if King David was the same person as Saint David of Wales. If you watched the True Tutors video, you'll remember that Chota was found to be an Ethiopian name. And as the Tutors were Welsh, could the whole of South Wales have been Ethiopian by migration? Another reason for wanting to find out is this statue I discovered of a possible King David on an antiques website. He is wearing a papal crown, which is Eastern Roman Catholic. Now, on the wiki page for St. David, it says that he was an abbot and a bishop of the Catholic Church and Eastern Orthodox Church. So that matches. I googled St. David, same as King David. The National Catholic Register has a page titled St. David the King. So far so good. Let's look up the meaning of the name David. It actually comes from Sanskrit Devi, meaning divine, godly. David ascended the throne as the king of Judah in 885 BC. Apart from this, all that is known of David comes from biblical literature, the historicity of which has been extensively challenged, and there is little detail about David that is concrete and undisputed. Debates persist over several controversial issues: the exact time frame of David's reign and the geographical boundaries of his kingdom. As Ralph Ellis says, we are either looking in the wrong place or we are looking at the wrong time period. King David is described as a young shepherd and a harpist. Let's type St. David harpist. The Welsh harp, our national instrument. It's an emblem of Wales on par with St. David, the daffodil, and the red dragon. But how did the harp come to be our national instrument? The answer may surprise you. The Welsh harp, or triple harp, actually arrived in the UK during the 1600s. It came from Italy, as one of many famous Italian inventions that have been warmly welcomed into Welsh culture. No. This is too much of a coincidence. To me now, the two Davids were the same person. It is true that there was Italian influences to Wales, but I bet that the harp was not one of them. Let's keep going. He gains fame and becomes a hero by killing Goliath. We are unlikely to find a giant story with St. David, although the British Isles were known to have them. He becomes a favorite of Saul, the first king of Israel, but is forced to go into hiding when Saul suspects David of plotting to take his throne. My guess is that he was in Israel up to a point and that this is true. After Saul and his son Jonathan are killed in battle, David is anointed king by the tribe of Judah and eventually all the tribes of Israel. He conquers Jerusalem and makes it the capital of a united Israel. But I found that the translation inferring this is inaccurate. It actually reads, "In that lion he the blessings praise." Not, "the Lion of Judah has conquered." He brings the Ark of the Covenant to the city. I reckon Alan Wilson has something to say about this, so I will summarize what I find after watching the video. Alan Wilson reveals the truth about the Ark of the Covenant. Cymru is the Welsh language name for Wales, the people of the Cymry. Allen tells us that this comes from Qumri, and they were the 10 tribes of Israel. What he doesn't specifically say is that Qum is a word from Nepal. Over 200,000 people were deported from Israel and made their way to Britain, via going west to the Black Sea region. They made their way following a little cabinet and a cart, which Wilson thinks contained the Ark. Half the group landed in Cornwall, the other half South Wales. But also they went north and settled lands in Scotland and Ireland. The entire west half of Britain is covered by a great star map of standing stones, placed by an extremely knowledgeable race of people. Wilson focuses on the constellation Regulus in Leo, the Lion of Judah, as being the location for the Ark of the Covenant. Wilson and Blackhead have produced many star mound maps which confirm this theory. The mound which represents the star Regulus turns out to be at a place called Ynysybwyll in Wales. The village next to this hill is Galwig. Wilson translates this as place of worship. But when I translated for Galway, without the G, I got spoon in Welsh. Does the hill not look like a spoon? Also, I know that Go is a prefix found in Ethiopia, Swahili, and Somali. The mound has 4 pits filled with white stones, presumably quartz, which were filtration points to water runoff from channels or tunnels inside the mound itself. Alan Wilson thinks that there is a chamber in the middle of the hill. The quartz stones are not from Wales but from Cornwall. He hired the services of a man from London, an expert in metal detecting, who confirmed that there was an object 2 feet by 4 feet and made from non-ferrous metal. Gold is a non-ferrous metal, meaning it is not magnetic. He then goes on to give clear evidence for the mother of Constantine the Great, coming to Wales and bringing with her a jeweled cross, taken from Jerusalem in 325 AD. Thanks to Ancient Historia for putting that video together. But I'm not done with translations. This area of Wales has many places called Galwig. Go in Swahili means go. There's no GOL. But if we look up Luig, in Welsh, ter. However, omit the G and we get Ly in Polish. Lions. The lions of England are Ethiopian. Let's get back to King David. Did he bring the Ark of the Covenant to Wales? One of his symbols is the Jewish Star of David. Could this be the Star of Regulus in Leo? Another of his symbols is the Hanukkah menorah, a candelabra with 7 arms. In Stamford Hill, London, there is a Jewish neighborhood named Seven Sisters. And when I typed Seven Sisters Wales, it was not a surprise to me to find that there is a village named Seven Sisters, not far from the Ynysybwyll Mound. David killed the giant Goliath, and it occurred to me that here is the prefix Gal again, which we found in Wales. In Swahili we have Goli and Athari. Goal. And wound. Scar. Impact. David is said to have gone from place to place, arriving then leaving, which matches with Wilson's migration theory. Stopping at cities along the way, on the journey to the British Isles. In the biblical account he was said to take refuge in the mountainous wilderness of Ziph. When I typed Ziph into the translator it detected Mizo, which is Tibetan/Burmese. All the while being pursued by Saul for the throne. With the death of Saul's son, the elders of Israel came to Hebron and anointed David to be king over all of Israel. He conquers Jerusalem and makes it his capital. But could the story of David being pursued by Saul have been a fiction? As I said, the inscription about the conquering of Jerusalem was inaccurate. Remember at the beginning when I spoke of the Tuatha De Danann? Well, the coat of arms attributed to King David are identical to the arms of Ireland. It is the harp, which is also a symbol of Wales. Going back to St. David. William of Malmesbury said that David visited Glastonbury to donate a traveling altar including a great sapphire. He had had a vision of Jesus who said that the church had been dedicated long ago by himself, Jesus, in honor of his mother. Henry VIII confiscated the sapphire from the abbey during the dissolution of the monasteries 1,000 years later. It can be seen set into his crown. Saint David is a man prone to miracles, while King David is a man beset with personal crisis. Is the story of Bathsheba and the murder of her husband just that, a story? Or perhaps David was capable of both miracle and murder? One thing is clear to me. King David was the same person as Saint David. The Kingdom of Cecilwig. Cecilwig was a petty kingdom of medieval Wales. It is unclear when it emerged as a distinct unit, but according to later sources it consisted of the former Kingdom of Ceredigion. Cis means six. Luig equals brown, in Welsh. Luig equals oath, in Welsh. But it was also spelled Cecil. Cis equals six. Il equals star, in Albanian, and as I have previously found Albanian words in Wales, this will be accepted. Cecil means six star. The six-pointed star of David. I have no idea how the Albanian works into the picture, but I'll figure it out later. Kingdom of Ceredigion is Kingdom of the Benevolent. Cecil was the king who ruled Ceredigion in the 7th century. King David ruled in the 9th-10th century BC, so 15 to 1600 years earlier. But there's more on Cecilwig, Kingdom of Cecil. On the Wikipedia page in brackets is the spelling say Selig. I typed in Selig meaning. 4 results down is the title, Where are the 10 lost tribes of Israel? Followed by The Lost Jews, the 10 tribes. And here it says, the Talmud also says the tribes were exiled to both Africa and to the mountains of Selig, snow, quite possibly referring to Ethiopia and to the mountains of western Iran. This is likely to be the Zagros Mountains. Cecil was born of Clydog. Clydog was a member of the clan of the legendary King Brychan, who came to Wales from Ireland. King Brychan's children and grandchildren became the famed saints of Wales and Cornwall. It's likely that dog comes from dag. In Ireland is the saying dag de, meaning good day. So Clydog would be Cly the Good. However, look up the word Cly and it means seize or steal. Perhaps then the name is Clodagh, which means stony river. Cecil. Almost nothing is known of his life or reign. Contemporary sources continue to use the name Ceredigion for the realm of Cecil and his successors. We'll come back to him in a moment. The royal house of Dynfor, also known as the House of Deheubarth, was a cadet branch of the Kingdom of Gwynedd. Dynef, Dynfor, Din Efer. Din is religion, belief in Arabic. Efer is yew tree. Supposedly in Welsh but an old translation. Religion of the yew tree. The Druids of the yew tree. And if you're not sure about my translations, what if I told you that Gwyn means mistletoe in French? If that was incorrect, then it's a big coincidence that Gwyn in Welsh means white. Mistletoe grows on yew trees. We also have some Arabic in the name Deheubarth. Dehu means south, the South Kingdom. Barth, I have determined, comes from Bath. The Ba'ath Party was a political group started in 1947 in Syria, but I'm assuming its roots went back much older. Wikipedia says that the pre-modern Arabic language was created by Nabateans, who developed the Nabatean alphabet, which became the basis of modern Arabic script. Another of the later rulers of Gwynedd was Idwal-Ful, and I found that Abidwal-Ful is a surname with roots in the Middle East and North Africa. So that's interesting. We have an Arabic, Druidic, cadet branch of the royal house of Gwynedd. In the Tudors video I showed how the founder of the Kingdom of Gwynedd was Cunedda or Cundag, which didn't really provide a name but more of a direction of where it came from, Ethiopia. Even if we suppose the word Cunedda, Edda comes from Swahili also, meaning old or elder. So let's get back to Cecil. Could he have been related to King David? His name means 6-star. The area that would become St. David's in Wales was called Menevia. Menevai in Azerbaijani means spiritual. Azerbaijan is a country next to Syria. This is supported by what Alan Wilson says, that kings of Assyria repelled the tribes to go north to Armenia, which is next to Azerbaijan, which proves the connection between St. David's Menevia and the 10 tribes. The Mythology and Rites of the British Druids 1809. The same Kind de Lou maintained a poetic contest for the bardic chair of Madoc, Prince of Powys, against another bard named Cecil, who asserts his claim to the honor, in virtue of his direct descent from the primitive bards, or druids of Britain, a distinction which his adversary could not boast. It is my right to be master of song, being in a direct line of the true tribe, a bard of the enclosure. But Kind de Lou the Great, the giant of song, was born into a race which has produced no bards. He was ready to allow the superior dignity of the druidical line, and he speaks of this illustrious order as still in being. Excepting God alone, and the diviners of the land, and sedulous druids of the splendid race, wearers of gold chains, there is none who know our number, in the billows of the stream. Direct line of the true tribe. Wearers of gold chains. Not quite the druids we imagine. This guy Kind de Lou was Prince of Powys in the 7th century. So this matches with the Cecil of Ceredigion, who was also king in the 7th century. Even if this Cecil was not King David, it gives strong support for my theory. And there's something else within that text too. The two men, Cecil and Kind de Lou, were having a poetry contest. Is King David known for being not only a harpist but a poet? David as a poet in Psalms. David's relationship with God through his poetry. David, king of Israel. David as poet. It is evident that Cecil comes from the house of David, if not himself. David and Goliath. While listening to a talk by Alan Wilson, he spoke about Garth Mountain in Wales with its standing stones. One big one and 2 little ones, the stars of Orion's belt. But that isn't what got my attention. I had read about Goliath being killed in Gath. Gath, along with Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gaza, and Ekron, is one of 5 major cities belonging to the Philistines before Israel conquered them. The word Gath means winepress. For some strange reason, when I opened my translator it was set to Icelandic, even though I left it on Arabic. So I typed Gath. No Gath. But Gat resulted, port. Gateway. Doorway. The Anakim, a race of giants left over from the earlier Canaanite population, settled in Gath after Joshua drove them out of the Promised Land. Gath is known primarily as the home of the giant Goliath, who was killed by an unlikely hero named David. When the Philistines defeated the Israelites in the time of Eli, they captured the Ark of the Covenant, and took it back to Ashdod and placed it in their pagan temple, next to their image of Dagon. After God broke the image of Dagon, and afflicted the people of Ashdod with tumors, they sent the Ark of the Covenant to Gath, but trouble soon followed. After they had moved it, the Lord's hand was against that city, throwing it into a great panic. He afflicted the people of the city, both young and old, with an outbreak of tumors. The people of Gath demanded the ark be moved yet again. Eventually, the people of Philistia sent the ark back home to Israel. Halfway up the Garth mountain, near Cardiff, a woman robed in green used to appear. She beckoned to men who passed, but they did not heed her. 2 men at last ventured to listen to what she said, which was that she guarded hoards of gold, and could not move, but she wished to be released. They should have the treasure if they set her free. If they did not release her, then there would not be a man born for the next 100 years who could set her free. The men whispered to each other, wondering if her tale were true. One of the men, looking down at her feet, said, "True enough, her slippers are covered with gold dust." The woman suddenly vanished, but for a long time her sobs and wailings were heard. Gath in Scottish Gaelic means arrow, spear, shaft, but also beam, ray of light. The Garth Mountain of Wales with its tunnels and ghost tale of gold treasure. and Gath of Israel as being a location for the Ark of the Covenant. It is too coincidental for there not to be a connection. And where in Wales is Garth Mountain? 10 miles from Ynysybal Mound, as the crow flies. Could the Ark still be there, buried in the mountain?